Hello, everybody. Hi, everyone. Hello, welcome to the stream, y'all. Oh, it is good to be here. It's good to be back. I'm sticking to this whole full doing it every single Friday. I'm gonna be honest with y'all because, you know, I like when you're honest with me, so I'm gonna be honest with you. It was hard to show up today. I'm gonna be real. I'm gonna be honest. Why, Hayley? Why was it hard for you to show up today? Because I'm on week 6 of having pneumonia. Yes, week 6. We're on week 6, folks. That is too many weeks to have pneumonia. So if I'm coughing, if I'm stuffed up, that is why. Technically, it's not pneumonia anymore. It's moved into a sinus infection, which is really fun. So, yeah, just a note to consider is that I'm working through it, y'all. I'm doing the best that I can. Oh my god, my dog immediately is barking the second that I'm here. So let me go bring him inside, and I'll be right back. I promise. I won't be far. Just one second. Freaking classic. The second I need to sit down, something comes up. Something happens. This freaking always happens. Oh, brutal. You can't see, but the door is closed, and that is in an attempt so that the cat doesn't turn the live stream off. So, the dog is outside, the cats are outside. Okay, I have a challenge for everybody that is here right now, because I know that I need this right now, and so I'm guessing some of you need it right now. Oh yeah, here we go. I gotta find the right vibes for this so that we're, you know, really hitting it real nice. Let me see. Gotta add non-copyrighted. I forget that that's a thing, and I've already had a copyright claim on my channel, not gonna lie. Here we go. Oh, listen to that. Isn't that relaxing? Hi everybody. I know for myself, it's the end of the week, and I sometimes carry a lot of the tension from the week in my body, and I don't practice enough releasing that energy or that tension. And so before Hayley gets goofy and does the silly thing, which is, you know, a coping thing, but also I like to be fun and silly, I want to take a moment to ground ourselves together. Okay? So I'm going to challenge you that if you are watching this, to take a minute to actually try this with me. And it might be uncomfortable, it might be weird, it might be awkward, you might be trying to multitask at this moment, but can you give yourself 2 minutes? 2 minutes to do something kind for yourself. And so here's what we're gonna do. And I see all your messages. I say, hello, it's nice to see you. Here's what I want you to do. I want you to put your hand on your chest and your other hand on your stomach. And we're gonna take a really big deep breath in, okay? Really big deep breath in, 1, 2, 3. Hold it and release. And we're gonna do it one more time. You ready? And release. Those were heavy breaths for me today, y'all. Been holding a lot in, holding a lot of tension, been feeling like I need to push harder every single day, been feeling like I need to show up for everyone all at once. And I don't need to do that. I don't have the capacity to do that, and I don't think a lot of people have the capacity to do that. I like this moment. I like regrounding myself. This is so important to be able to sit, bring myself back to the present. I see some people asking me how I'm doing. I'm actually doing really well with starting to get healthy again, with starting to slowly feel better. I've been able to raise my capacity of what I'm able to do, and so I've been doing more coaching, and holy fucking shit balls, it is so impactful and fulfilling to be doing coaching. So that's how I'm doing. I'm doing a lot better. But I'm again having to remind myself to take care of myself, because that is not something that always comes naturally, you know? How are you all doing? How's everybody here doing? We can stop the relaxing music and have fun. Vibes. Oh, I'm sorry. That one just had to come out. So, I was, questioning some people online. That sounds like I'm walking around harassing people. That's not what I meant. I have been, I sent out a thing on my Instagram story saying, how's everybody doing? How's everyone feeling? And holy Jesus, y'all are struggling from what I can hear. Y'all are having a hard time. There's a lot of people saying that they're exhausted, that they're stressed, that they're holding a lot of overwhelm, that they're carrying a lot of a negative energy, and that they don't know what to do about it. There's so many struggles and things that are going on. Not like feeling the best, right? Fabulous, not fabulous, but that's all right. I'm sorry to hear that. Yeah, doing all right though. Okay, I'm doing okay. Me and my cats are chilling watching your live. Hell yeah, hell freaking yeah. I'm good. Going to see my best friend in a theater. Best friend in a theater show tomorrow, so that will be good. That's awesome. I found a tick crawling in my bed. Not ideal. That's not ideal. No, don't like that actually. I was bit by a tick once. Also not ideal. So yeah, I'm hearing from a lot of people that they're struggling and they're overwhelmed right now. And so here's what I did. I opened up my DMs. I said, hey, if you're struggling with something, tell me. Send me a DM about it. Give me all the info you want to give me. I'll keep you anonymous. And then I will answer some of the questions you have or give you some advice that you feel that you might need. This light feels extra bright today. That's too bright. Okay, there. So we're going to do some advice today. Wait, not to stress you out, but it would be good to check if there's any more and maybe clean the sheets. I also agree, maybe clean the sheets. That's probably a good idea. The house belongs to the tick now. True. It's just like, just burn the house down, actually. At this point, forget it. It's not worth it. So I've got some submissions from you guys with scenarios that you're going through, things that you're struggling with. But I also want to say that this live chat is here as an option to ask me questions and to follow up and give me more insights or tell me things that you're struggling with. Like, feel free. Send a long ass message being like, Hayley, here's the exact situation. These are the things I'm struggling with. This is the purpose of today. The purpose of today's live is all about giving you a place to freaking vent, dude. I want you to go, blah, blah, blah. Here's all the things that I'm struggling with. And for me to go, blah, blah, blah. Here's my advice to fix it. Right? So let's look at our first submissions, shall we? Okay. I don't know why the camera switches like that. It's been a while since I've been using Streamlabs, but whatever. Okay. So our first submission says, how can I avoid boredom at work? Should I put my little therapy music on? Oh, wow. Wow. Actually, it's not holding my attention nearly well enough. How can I avoid boredom at work? I have an office job, work from home as an executive assistant, accountant, payable manager. I generally like my job. I love doing administration tasks, but it seems like after a few months of doing the same thing, I get so bored and I just want to quit. It's happened before. I've left previous jobs after a year or so because I thought I wasn't in the right company or doing the right thing for me. But I do like what I'm doing and I love the company, but I'm working for right now. So I really want to get through this. I'm currently using methods like body doubling to try to get through the day, but it only sort of helps. Cool. Do a lot of people relate to this? Because I know I did when I worked in a corporate job, especially. this was something that I super duper struggled with. Figuring out how do I make it through this rough patch, because that's all really it is a rough patch, especially when you do enjoy the, I'm adding a chat box and it's holding my attention. Especially when you do enjoy the work, but you're in that rough patch, it's very hard to work through. So I can relate to that. I think first and foremost is adding novelty and interest into your day and into your work. For myself, when I was working in a corporate job that I did I liked the company, I liked the people, but the actual tasks became very mundane a lot of the times. My solution to that was like building interest into my day. So that was, building certain playlists that were like fucking sick and like made it more exciting. And switching up my position. So asking and talking to my work to build accommodations where for me, I can't sit at a desk the entire day, so it was helpful for me to be able to say, hey, that's not something that works for me. Can I do more on-site visits for things? Or I find it a lot easier to be in a call than it is to just sit and be expected to do work. And so I would have more calls scheduled. I'd have more frequent check-ins, to make it more exciting and fun. Like I would ask to do things outside of my parameters. And so I used to run like a Christmas event for our work because it allowed me to work on something else. I started spearheading a bunch of these like work social events, which happened both online during COVID and in person. And it just created novelty. And that's what I'm trying to say is create interest, create novelty in the space that you're working in. Body doubling is a great tool, but we want to create longevity there. So, building novelty in there. So, can you ask for accommodations? Can you build new things into your work life? Like one of the things I did when I was working from home with my job is I asked if I could spearhead like a weekly email that goes out to everybody, or a weekly, I think it was a Teams message at the time. And it would go out and my question of the week would be like, hey guys, it's Hayley. Here's the question of the week. What pets do you have? And then there would just be a string of people sending pictures of their pets, and it was fucking sick. And so it was just things like that made it a little bit more novel. Let's get a touch base. Where's everybody at? Oh, great. We've got lots of questions in the chat. So let's do some of these. How do you handle doing schoolwork and keeping caught up while also keeping yourself healthy? Great question. It has been a long time since I've been in school. Very long time. And I didn't do a great job of it then, but it's similarly to how do I keep up with work and hold myself accountable to keeping myself healthy. For me, there's a lot of tools required to do that. And I'm going to be honest with you, it's not a one fix wonder. There are so many things that go into that. I always say, and I'm going to bring this as like my most important tool. There's a truck outside and it scared me. One of my most important tools that I talk to my clients about very frequently, and if you have like paper right now or like something to write down, I would suggest doing so. I call this the 4 essentials. So these are the most essential things I think when it comes to taking care of oneself. And this is for anyone. This isn't just for a neurodivergent person. This is for any person. Those 4 essentials are water, food, exercise, sleep. If those 4 things are taken care of and are functioning at a high level and doing well, we'll see our baseline level of functionality increased. Whereas if I'm not eating right, I'm gonna notice a dip. I'm gonna notice it's harder to keep up with my schoolwork. I'm gonna notice that it's harder to keep up with my relationships. If I'm not drinking enough water, same thing. My performance and my ability to function will decrease. And so I think the first thing to do when it comes to schoolwork and keeping caught up while also keeping yourself healthy is focusing on keeping yourself healthy first. So those 4 essentials, I would say, ensure that you have a tool for each one of them, so that they're, being managed. Yeah. And there's so many tools. It's hard to like give a comprehensive answer, whereas in coaching, like on a one-on-one session, I could sit down and talk to how to build those tools and how to do this. And that's the beauty of the coaching, right? But that would be my initial is interact with those 4 things. Oh my God, there's so many, which is awesome. I love you guys. Oh, there's so many. I can't sit down at all. I would piss all around me. Piss off all around me? I don't know what that means. Thank you so much. I'm so grateful for you. Since my parents really don't understand my ADHD, I feel like you're my ADHD parent. That's adorable. Also feels like it's aging me a little bit, but I'm okay with that. I'd prefer like ADHD sister or like cousin or like prime minister. I don't know. Something like that would be cool. World leader? I'll take that one. Oh, I think this is a great question. And if I miss your question, that is not because I don't want to answer it. It's because there's so many, it's hard to do all of them, and I've got these other submissions too. Was wondering if you're comfy answering, how do you personally decide on which people in your life to, I don't know how to phrase it, I guess come out as ADHD to? Great question. For myself, I have done, so sorry, that's for you. That was a gift. Special one. I have done a lot of internal work to allow me to not only feel acceptance for my autism and my ADHD, but it's also made me feel very proud and confident in my autism and ADHD. And I think that's an important distinction, is that I don't think about it anymore. I don't get to the place where I'm like, do I tell this person if I'm autistic and have ADHD? That thought doesn't even come to mind anymore, because I'm like, well, it's who I am. Why wouldn't I? If they don't like it, they don't like me, and that's fine. They can go off and find someone else that's better suited to them. So if you're trying to decide how to show up in your life and who to tell and who not to tell, I would suggest, firstly, you don't have to tell anyone. You don't have to do that if you don't feel comfortable with it. But I would say that signifies to me that you're not comfortable, and that's okay. There's practice and work that goes into that, and so I would suggest starting the internal work that is becoming confident and comfortable with who you are. And that is something that I would love to go more in depth with, because that is such a deep question. So feel free to send me a message and we can talk about getting you in for like a consult or something, because that's a big one. That's a big one. You are who you are. And yes, if people don't like it, yeah. Some people don't. And that's the thing. I have learned that some people do not like the way that I function and the way that I work. Who cares? Like, that's fine. There's 7 billion people on this planet? Like, go find someone that's better suited for you then. Fine by me. It doesn't hurt my feelings at all, because I'm comfortable with who I am. So fuck off. Exactly. What else do we have here? Do you have any advice on knowing if you have autism or ADHD or both? For myself, actually for anyone, talk to a professional. That is like first and foremost. I know I'm personally a self-diagnosed autistic person, but I like to add that I'm a well-informed self-diagnosed autistic person, meaning that I have gone to doctors and psychologists. I have just not gone through the actual 6 or 7 month process of getting a full diagnosis, because I don't want to take up space in the system, because I'm confident that is what I'm struggling with. But I went and talked to a professional about it first, because I'm not a professional. I don't know enough to make that call. So I wanted an opinion, and so I received that. Then I would say, if you have been diagnosed with either autism or ADHD, and now you're in the place of do I also have autism or do I also have ADHD, is building tools around what it is that you are diagnosed with. So for myself, that was with ADHD first. And I started realizing, even though I built a ton of tools in my life for ADHD, there were so many things that weren't being dealt with. I was still missing out on a bunch of tools and things because I wasn't addressing the proper problem, right? So I was addressing the ADHD, that was being dealt with. I was seeing a lot of improvement in my life, but the other things that were left unmanaged and weren't helping, I realized, okay, something else is going on. There's something else going on here, which in my case was autism. So, it is what it is. I will also say there is huge overlap in ADHD and autism. And so it makes sense that that is a confusing question, and it's totally valid to be confused by that. But yeah, just look into it, talk to a professional about it, have conversations about it. Yeah. I don't know how to bring it up to my doctor because I've mentioned it before, but I didn't go into it too much, and I don't know how to specifically say, here's why I think I have autism, this, and this. I will say doctors tend to not like that. From my experience and from the experience that I've heard from others, is that doctors tend to not like us saying, this is why I believe that I'm autistic, generally because it makes them think that we have already decided that is what we are and that we don't care about their opinion. And so I would, one, say go in open-minded and just start with I'm wondering if it's possible that I'm autistic, and I want to hear from you how I can go about finding that out. And start there. They will then either direct you to the proper way to get a diagnosis, give you some resources, and if they're an asshole doctor for whatever reason, it might be a good idea to go see somebody else. And unfortunately, I was having a conversation today with one of my coaches that works for me about this idea of, it is so frustrating when you're showing up for yourself, but the system's not showing up for you, right? And that's so frustrating. But recognizing in those moments where like a doctor's not listening to you or isn't supporting you, that's not a reflection of you. It's a reflection of the system, right? So giving yourself that compassion and love to be like, hey, I'm here, I'm doing the work. They haven't caught up yet. That is not on me. Give yourself some love, okay? Okay, here we go. There's more of them. I mask so much that people think I'm shady and they're distrusting. Once I inform them I'm autistic, they're like, oh, okay, you're just weird. That's cute. They feel better that I'm not hiding something big. That's hilarious the way that that's worded. Yeah, I would say like when I found out I was autistic and that a lot of what I was doing was masking, it was scary. I think for me, do people relate to that? Like even with my ADHD, when I learned that's what it was kind of scary because I was like, holy shit, I don't know who I am. I don't know what I'm supposed to be doing. Like, I don't know what's going on. But it's also freeing in a lot of ways to be able to say like, oh my God, I can finally just like let go of these masks and be my actual self. Like what a gift. What a fucking gift that we're able to do that at any point in our life. How amazing is that? Yeah. Amazing things. Okay, let's go on to our next submission. Okay, here we go. We've got our therapy music now. Oh, there, that's better. Okay, here we go. This submission says, honestly, Hayley, okay, first off, you fucking spelled my name wrong. I'm kind of pissed off. Not gonna freaking lie. It's H-A-Y. Okay? It's H-A-Y. Continuing. I've been struggling managing a relationship with ADHD. My partner is ADHD as well. He's on the autism spectrum and has dyslexia. I would love your advice for how to effectively communicate what you want when you are unsure. I feel this struggle. Oh my God, I really feel this struggle. So for myself, I have not dated somebody that is also ADHD or also on the spectrum, but I don't think that matters with this question because I think this is not a question of ADHD necessarily. I think this is just a question of relationships, which is how to effectively communicate what you want when you are unsure how to bring it up. And I followed up with this person to ask for a specific instance, so let's hear that. A specific instance lately has been us both struggling to manage when appropriate times to talk are. We both like to call and play video games together a lot, but both of us feel guilty when we are unable to get interrupted. We're unable to or get interrupted. In general, it's also really hard to speak what's on our mind and what we both want out of the relationship. Yeah. And so again, I think this is a relationship question. And I like to make the distinction between a relationship question that is a question for anyone. Anyone in the world could be struggling with this. It doesn't necessarily have to do with autism or ADHD. I recognize that it could make that a lot harder and make it a harder obstacle. So, yeah, I think my suggestion for this would be creating space, creating the opportunity. Because what it's sounding like right now is you guys are just looking for, like, when is the moment that this comes up? Like, it kind of naturally has to happen. What if it didn't naturally happen? What if instead, and this is kind of challenging this idea a little bit, what if instead you created the opportunity? This is a little tidbit for just you guys. I haven't posted this anywhere else online, but I'm actually seeing someone right now. And with that, we've started to incorporate this idea of weekly check-ins. I am autistic and ADHD. He is very neurotypical. And these weekly check-ins are designed to create the opportunity. So that if during the week I'm feeling uncomfortable or awkward about something and I don't know how to bring it up, the opportunity is available to me at the end of the week. And so I think setting aside time for you to be openly talking with your partner is really valuable. And that's something I only recently learned from doing some sessions with like a spiritual coach, honestly, and it came up in there where I was like, oh yeah, you're right, I'm not creating the opportunity to actually have these discussions, because what tends to happen is we're waiting for the moment that we get emotionally charged. Right? We get emotionally charged about something and we're like, God, I'm triggered right now, I should talk to him about it, or I should talk to them about it. When really, the best time to talk about something is when we're neutral, when we're not emotionally charged. And so creating this like opportunity or space to actually talk outside of the problem or issue is likely what's going to solve this. So that's my freaking suggestion. I hope that is a helpful thing for me to say. Yeah, that's a good one. Okay, let's see. What else is there? Oh yeah, I had people asking me about the kinks thing. Guys, I have so many fucking people sending me kinks all the time. All the time. My DMs are flooded with people being like, hey, I'm into this absurd thing. No kink shaming. I just think it's absurd. Is this like a neurodivergent thing? And I'm like, you've scarred me by telling me what you're into. Okay? I didn't need to know that. I didn't ask for it. I didn't ask for that. So let's just chill the fuck out. I don't even want to get into that space. Other creators will do it. I don't want to do it. Let's see. There's so many people messaging, which is awesome. My partner and I do the check-in system too. It helps us avoid building up resentment and address uncomfy feelings. Yeah, we love it. How to fall in love without it becoming a hyperfixation. Being with them equals dopamine and all the good feelings, and I struggle with finding balance. What a great question. I think that's really, really smart. Yeah, for myself, I used to be so intensely, oh my God, what is the word? It starts with a C for sure. Okay, somebody tell me what this word is, where I was like, codependent. Yeah, fuck you guys, I did it by myself. I was so intensely codependent on my partners for so long, and that codependency often presented in a way of like hyperfixations at the start of the relationship. And I'm gonna tell you the hard truth as to why we hyperfixate on people. We hyperfixate on people when we are uncomfortable with ourselves. That is the unfortunate truth. Requiring or needing dopamine from other people in our lives is because we are not giving it to ourselves. And so for myself, and again, this is for me, this might not work for you, but this is for me, I needed to learn how to give myself dopamine. I needed to learn how to spend time alone. So that in those moments when I'm needing a dopamine fix, my instant solution is not, I'm gonna go to my partner and I need them to fix this for me. Instead it was, oh my God, I can do this. I can deal with this by myself. I can give myself dopamine when I need it. And so that was a huge shift for me, was learning how to like be alone and be okay with it. And it's something I'm still practicing because it's fucking hard. It's really, really hard work. I've been spending a lot of time alone recently because I think that that's valuable. And yesterday, literally yesterday, y'all, this is something I've been working on for a long time. Yesterday, I had my first experience of choosing solitude over spending time with someone because I preferred it. What? That's fucking crazy. It's actually insane. It's insane. I was meant to play a game with my friend over Discord, and the weather was nice out. And I thought to myself, you know what I would really like to do? Be alone and like go do something by myself in nature right now. And so I canceled on my friend, and I told him like, hey, I actually want to be alone. Like, how sick is that? It's pretty cool. So I think, unfortunately, the answer there is that you need to learn how to be alone and to care for yourself. There you go. Yeah, I've called a couple of you out. Yes, this is a hard one. This is a hard one for sure. Okay, I'm actually seeing a question that suits one of these submissions really well. So let's do both of those at once. So the question in our chat is, how would you recommend controlling your emotions if you're overwhelmed, having a meltdown, so you don't hurt yourself? And I think that's really, really a valid question. And one of these submissions kind of says that in a somewhat different way. So let's read that one. So, how do I cope/deal with it when I get swept up in an emotional storm? It happens to me somewhat regularly, and while I'm in it, my emotions are super intense, and there's a sometimes steep increase in negative self-talk and RSD. I typically don't realize what is happening until after it has passed days later. While I'm in it, it feels heavy and alarming and overwhelming and so lonely. How many of you guys relate to this? I fucking do. I relate to this. This is something I've struggled with so much in the past. So much. Yeah, and I think that mirrors the question we got in our chat as well. And this is a heavy one. This is a hard question to answer. And so I want to start with some education first, because I find for myself, I need to understand why something is happening before I can actually solve it. And so in this case, why is it so hard for us to manage emotions? Why is it so hard for us to be, we're so frequently swept up in these emotional storms, as this person said. So let's talk about emotional dysregulation and why this happens. So our emotional dysregulation, it is a common symptom of ADHD. It is not a requirement of ADHD, which means that you can have ADHD but not emotional dysregulation, and that is important to note. It is more common in women than it is men. Emotional dysregulation, what this is the amygdala and the cerebral cortex are trying to communicate with one another. And what happens is our amygdala is flooded with emotions, and our brain is meant to talk to our cerebral cortex and then make a decision of how to manage it. And so the example I like to give is that imagine a neurotypical person is walking down the street with an ice cream cone, and they drop their ice cream, and they look at it on the ground, and they're like, fuck, this sucks, and they're flooded with emotions. And their response is that the amygdala sends the message to the cerebral cortex, and it goes, okay, you know what, I'll just go buy a new one. That will be my solution. And they go and they do that. And they've passively processed that. That all happened in their brain. They dealt with it. The emotionally dysregulated person will drop their ice cream, get flooded with emotions, and maybe that response is, fuck, oh God, I feel awful, like I'm such a fuck up, like I did such a horrible thing right here, like, oh my God, I'm awful, this sucks, like my entire day is ruined, and oh, fuck this, and they go home and they cry, and their entire day is completely ruined by this event. The difference there is how our brain is communicating to ourselves. And so, are you doing that on purpose? No. And that's first really important to note. You're not doing that to yourself on purpose. It is something that is happening in our brain and that we don't necessarily have full control over. Now, the important part with this emotional dysregulation is that we can manage it. We can build tools around it. We can build solutions around it so that our response to being emotionally dysregulated is more productive. How great would it feel to not look at that ice cream cone and completely freak out and let it ruin our entire day? How great would it be to be like, holy shit, I'm feeling all these feelings, and okay, here's what I'm gonna do about it. I'm emotionally dysregulated. What do I need right now? How cool would that be, right? So there's a lot of inner deep work to do around emotional dysregulation, and I'm hearing a lot of you in the chat saying like, yeah, mood, this is something I'm dealing with too, and that they're struggling with, and so I feel that. So there are a lot of tools and different strategies to work through this with, and one of those is being able to slowly start recognizing when emotional dysregulation is happening, okay? So to do that, we need to practice actively processing, and this is where the hard work comes in, and you have to make the decision, do I wanna work on myself, or do I wanna keep things this way? If you wanna keep things that way, you go for it. That's fine, who cares? But you don't get to complain. You don't get to complain that my life is so hard, my ADHD is so hard, everything is so tough in life. You're choosing it. It is a choice to stay in this place of just dealing with it, okay? And that is my belief. If you're complaining about it and not doing anything about it, that's your fault. If you're choosing to work on it, and you're choosing to do the hard work that is involved in managing your symptoms and emotional dysregulation, here's what that looks like. My initial, call to this and how I would start working on this is learning your body's cues, learning your emotional cues. For myself, when I start to feel overwhelmed, as an example, I feel in my chest, I get sweaty, I get hot, my eyes like crinkle, I get the forehead lines, I do all that, and I feel uncomfortable. Why this helps to be able to recognize is that the next time, now that I've sat down and I've processed that that's what my body tells me when I'm dysregulated, the next time that it happens, I'm going to be able to start recognizing it in the moment and be able to say, oh my God, hey, my chest is tight. My chest is tight right now. That's telling me something, right? I'm sweaty right now. That's telling me something. My body is giving me cues of something. So we're doing the cerebral cortex's job, right? We're going, oh my God, here are all these emotional cues. Now what can I do about it? How can I regulate myself, right? And so that is a big part of emotional dysregulation, is being able to start identifying when it's showing up and then deciding how you want to manage it. And that is a whole conversation of what tools you can put in place to actually manage that emotional dysregulation and how to regulate yourself. But again, this is only like an hour-long stream, and if you want tools that actually work for you, I have to talk to you, because the tools that work for me might not be specific enough for you. So I do offer coaching. I do consultations. Feel free to book in. Let's see some of these other questions. If you have trauma or PTSD, then sometimes out of the blue, you get overwhelmed by emotion and that trigger of trauma or PTSD. Yeah, absolutely. I've been diagnosed with PTSD. I know how challenging that can be, and it is a whole other storm. It is, absolutely, because a PTSD response or a trauma response is different than an emotional dysregulation response. And so learning tools to work on both of them or separately work on them, very important. Very, very important. Let's see. Is your coaching free? If it was, I wouldn't be able to live. No, it is not. It is the only way that I make money. I've dropped all of my sponsorships, or my significant ones at least. And so, no, I'd love it to be, but I need to be able to afford life. Let's see. When I have moments like that lately, I will pause and give myself a moment to breathe. Constantly remind myself that I'm safe, I'm okay, and I can handle this. You're regulating, friend. That is fucking great. Good for you. That's amazing. You're doing the hard work. Good for you. If no one's told you this, I'm proud of you. That's amazing, because I know how hard that is. Good for you. Anyone else relate to and or have any advice about falling into social isolation as a coping mechanism? Oh, yeah. I feel this. I definitely feel this. I think isolation is one of our cues. It's one of our emotional cues that there's something else going on, right? So for myself, when I isolate or avoid people, it's often because I'm stressed, and that's the emotion that I am being fueled by. So my question for you would be, why are you isolating? What is the emotion behind that? Emotional cues sounds better than triggers. The word trigger is like made fun of now, which is effed up. I don't know if you think they're interchangeable, though. They are. I believe them to be interchangeable. I also don't like the word trigger anymore. I still use it time to time because I think it's relevant, but an emotional cue, a body cue, it's ways that our body is trying to talk to us. And the same with our triggers or so, it's ways that our body is trying to tell us that we're feeling something. And to then, work on it. Advice on how to keep going and also to manage it regularly. Keep going in general and like manage ADHD regularly. Need specifics. This is the tough part about coaching, is that it's hard to do like a group session versus doing a individual session, because individually I can say like, what feels hard to manage? What is it that you're struggling to manage? And then build tools around that. Okay, that's all right. Once I get a job, I'm gonna get that coaching immediately. I will be here for you when you are ready, friend. There is no rush. Don't worry about it. In the meantime, find the free resources. Do the reading, do the live events, do as much as you can that it's free. I appreciate this. We'll try to do some journaling later on. Yeah, I fucking love journaling, y'all. I honestly, journaling is probably my favorite tool. I try to do it as frequently as possible. It's something that I've fallen out of practice with a lot, but it is probably the most frequent tool that I tell people to do. And I know how hard it can be to sit down and do the thing. So generally, when it comes to building journaling as a tool that you use frequently, I first have to build out a morning routine or a night routine. That tends to be how I function with my clients, is I'll go, okay, what's our night routine and how can we put that in that? Right? How can we put journaling into this? Yeah. Yes, everyone journal today. Lots to process in this live. Yeah, a lot to process. I would love for you, if anything, to write down what is the thing that's standing out to you? What is something that you're like, holy shit, I need to work on that. Or holy shit, I need to, start doing work in this area. Hello. Carmi says, I shall. Amazing. All right, let's see what other submissions we have. Any suggestions to make self-care easier? It feels unproductive to do the things I enjoy when I know have work, school, dishes to do. Yeah, I mean, again, lots of tools. There are lots of strategies, and it's dependent on the type of person you are, but this idea that it feels unproductive to do the things I enjoy when I know I have other things to do is a problem of prioritization, right? It's a problem of understanding what is important to you and what serves you the best. Building routines is a really good practice of this because it gives you specific time to do the things that you love and make time for them. But I will also say those 4 essentials that I originally talked about with sleeping, exercise, food, and water, focusing on those things, building tools around those first as your minimum of self-care, right? When I build a routine for someone, like a night routine, and we're talking about how to build it out so it's successful, and I do this for myself too, is I build out first an ideal routine. What is like the best routine possible? If I'm having a really high energy day and I feel like I can do all the things for myself, what does that look like? And I build out that routine. I then will build out a most likely routine, a routine that, is most likely to happen. It has some of the parts of the ideal routine, but not all of them. And then the last thing that I do is I build out my minimum. What is the minimum amount I'm willing to do for myself? And so for my night routine, the minimum is that I have to take my makeup off, I have to wash my face, I have to brush my teeth, and then get into bed. That is my minimum, which means that even on the days that I feel the shittiest, that I feel the worst, I have to do that for myself because I deserve it, right? So building out your minimums and maximums so that you have an understanding of how to show up for yourself. Yeah. I feel like I'm losing my mind with how often I forget things. I'll forget whole conversations with my husband. I also forget things a lot, especially in conversations and things like that. And I've learned that that's okay. It's okay to forget things. That's all right. The problem is when it's like forgetting things that are that have real life consequences. So forgetting projects or things to do for work, you can build tools around that. But when it comes to like forgetting, I will tell the same person like same story 3 times, and that's okay. I've learned that that's fine. That's okay. It's I just say, oh, well, you get to hear it a 3rd time. So I hope it was better than the 1st time. Maybe I like had practiced it by that point, Journaling is hard to be consistent with. Switch to journaling when I feel anything strong, and the negative self-talk when journaled shifts into an argument to how I am not the negative. I'm not sure how I understand this comment. But it's hard to be consistent with. Yeah, it is. And that's the truth of it. It is hard to be consistent with. I don't want it to sound like I'm selling myself as a coach. That's not what my intention is here. But having accountability is really important when you're starting to build tools. And so for me with my clients, like having somebody checking in week to week saying, how did you do with your journaling, is helpful. Being able to have like tangible check-ins and somebody saying like, you need to be doing more of this, or, we need to be building a tool that makes that easier for you. So I would say that if you're finding journaling hard to be consistent with, you likely don't have it set up in the best way for you possible. Journaling does not have to be pen to paper. Journaling doesn't even have to be typing. Journaling can be talking out loud. And why I say that is that what journaling is it's active processing. It gives us the ability and the time to actually sit down and think about the things we're struggling with and working through. And that doesn't mean it has to be written out. There's multiple ways to do it. And so considering that like you don't have to fit in the box, you can build your own box or stamp on the box. You're welcome. And just do you. Yeah. Hi, Hayley. How do you know what's a good strategy to do your work but not feel stressed because of the time you have, because I have a problem like that? Do you know what's a good strategy to do your work but not feel stressed because of the time you have? Okay, I think I'm understanding the question. I think so. I like to challenge the thinking that stress is a bad thing. Initially, that is something that I like to talk about. I don't think stress is necessarily bad. I think a surplus of stress is bad. I think if stress is leading you to do no work, then it's bad. But stress in the basic function of it is not a bad thing necessarily. But I would say for this question specifically, what's a good strategy to do your work but not feel stressed? I'm assuming you mean like stressed to the point that you're not functioning or having, like it's severe. Yeah, again, it's building tools, it's building strategies, it's building the best work-life scenario for you. For me, I have 3 different desks in my house, 3 different places I can do work. And the reason I do that is because I need changes in space throughout my day. And I have sensory shifts throughout my day. I add new scents, I add new visuals, I add new smells, I add new tastes throughout the day to keep me regulated. Because when we're dysregulated, when we're, all over the place, that's when stress can kind of take over. But if we're holding ourselves in a regulated state, we can manage our stress. So I would question or wonder what you have currently in place to regulate yourself. And I wouldn't be surprised if it's nothing, because a lot of people don't have anything in place. So something to consider. I'm having to remind myself that things are rough right now. Interesting reminder to self. Maybe validating that things are hard right now. But I like to, also have the reminder that things aren't impossible. There are always solutions. There are always tools. And I know that sometimes it can feel like hopeless, but there's always something. There's always something you can do. Always. Why do people think I'm childish when I tell them I'm neurodivergent or act like I'm a toddler? This is something, I think that ADHD and autism are disorders that are infantilized, meaning we make them out to be childish disorders because our education on these, things it's so new. It's so new. What we have known for so long is that it is a childhood disorder, especially with ADHD. It wasn't until I believe 2016 that the DSM-5 even included that ADHD could be an adult disorder. And so the reality is that people are uneducated. That's the problem. People are uneducated and don't understand. Is that a reflection of you? No. Their uneducation is not your problem. You don't have to educate everybody. You can talk to and help to educate the people that you care about and want to understand you, but kind of releasing some of that control of like, it's not my job to educate every person, and that's okay. Like, they're allowed to go about their life uneducated, and I don't need to let it impact me. Something to think about. A question I have, diagnosed anxiety and depression and 98 percentile ADHD, and have had a lot of the DSM-5 symptoms of autism. Any advice on how to talk to my psychiatrist about this and not self-diagnose? Again, I think opening it up with an open mind. That's how I had to kind of go about my diagnosis and with my self-diagnosis of autism, was I had to go into it with the mindset of, this is the professional. They know more than I do, and I want to be open-minded that I could be wrong. This could not be autism. What if it's something else? Because there are so many disorders that overlap and have similar symptoms. And so I would suggest going in with an open mind and hearing them out. You will know if your doctor is being dismissive versus being educated. If they're saying, you know what, this is sounding more like this to me, right? Then listen, really give an open mind to it. And I think going in that way will diminish the possibility of disappointment deeply. I think being open-minded is a really good way to go about that. How do I motivate myself to do work? I have to study for my AP test, and I have to memorize lines for my tech rehearsal tomorrow, but I just feel like being on my phone. But I'm open to doing it. I'm going to be posting a video probably in the next couple weeks about dopamine detoxes, specifically with the relationship to the phone. Because what's happening here is that you were getting dopamine from your phone, you're not getting dopamine from doing the work. And so your brain, because it lives in a dopamine deficient place, is going to seek out that dopamine, and it's so easy to get dopamine from your phone. So why wouldn't you choose to do that over the work? If you're not interested in a dopamine detox, or you don't know enough about it yet, which is totally reasonable, I would challenge you to start considering how to build interest and novelty into doing work. And so does that mean building out reward systems? Does that mean buying new cue cards that are like fancy and fun and feel a little bit more exciting to use? Does it mean putting on your favorite show in the background while you're doing work? Building interest around the task so that it by itself is not so daunting and doesn't feel so awful to do. Someone quoting, "It's not my job to educate every person." Yes. Can be helpful for me at least, but that may not work for you. Yeah, I think that's a good reminder. Does anyone here have advice for being able to take breaks? I find that once I manage to start something, I can't stop, so burn myself out, because once I stop, I can't get back into my task. Yeah, this is a super tough one. This is a really challenging one that is a harder one to answer in this scenario because it's very dependent on the person. For me, I do find that as well, that when I start something, I find it really hard to like put it down and go, okay, I'm done. And timers don't work for me. They don't, because I'll just go, no, I'm in the zone. Like, I got to turn this off. I think setting intentions prior to doing the task is helpful. Pneumonia, y'all. Vibes. Love this. Setting intentions behind the task before you start doing it is important. For myself, what that means is, you know, if I need to do something that's hard or I don't want to do, I'll give myself the option of half-assing the task, which is kind of a tough one for a lot of people to consider. For myself, like if I'm looking at my laundry and it's a task that I will likely finish if I start it, I will tell myself like, hey, you're allowed to half-ass this, maybe only do the shirts, and I'll just start with the shirts. And then I do like a check-in with myself. And I think this is probably the piece that you're missing, is having the opportunity or the ability to do body scans and listen to your body and hear, you know, what it needs, and then doing that thing. So for myself, if I'm doing laundry and I like put the shirts away and then I do my check-in and I'm like, okay, I did the half-ass bit. How am I feeling? Oh, I've got energy. I've got time. I've got energy. Let's keep going. Or the alternative being I've done my body scan and my check-in with myself and I go, I'm fucking tired. I want to go to bed right now. I'm going to honor that and go to bed. And so it's partially about learning how to do check-ins with yourself and body scans and see what your body is actually telling you. So many. Any tips for RSD when your inner monologue is a million voices telling you how much everyone doesn't like you? RSD is a challenging one for people that haven't heard. RSD is rejection sensitivity dysphoria. It's this heightened feeling of fear of rejection and that people are against you or don't like you. And I think there are tons of tools to kind of work towards being in a better place mentally. And unfortunately, this is one of the ones that require really deep, hard work. RSD is not easy to deal with. It is not something that changes overnight. And so with RSD, I would go back to the journaling. It's a really good place to start. But it's also learning to be okay with yourself first and foremost, because if you can get to a place where you're happy with who you are, it's a lot harder for RSD to affect you. And I can speak like from a point of having that struggle for many years. I felt completely like I had to be the people pleaser and I had to do everything everyone else wanted. And, you know, I was going to mask in front of everyone to project the person that they wanted me to be. And I wasn't happy. I wasn't happy being that person. I wasn't happy doing that. It actually felt a lot worse to be in that state. But when I started doing work on myself, when I started liking the person that I am today, that RSD started to become a lot quieter. It did, because I'm at a place now where it's like someone could come up to me and go, I don't like you. I don't like what you do. And I get that all the time in my DMs and stuff, because people don't think ADHD is real, or they don't like me, whatever. And they'll come at me and they'll say that to my face, and I'll go, okay, that's fine, that's all right. And all I'm going to do is come at a place from love. I'm just going to say, I hope you get some love today, because you're choosing to spread hate. And so I'm sending you my love at the very least. That's what I would say for that one. Okay, pals, we're going to do a check-in now. It is 4:00. We've done an hour of group coaching is essentially what this has been. Now, I'm going to do a little sales pitch here, okay? And I'm not going to try to hide behind that, because I see so many of you asking questions and having really deep, hard struggles. And that's what coaching is meant to do. Coaching is meant to be here for you to work through those things specifically, have somebody listening to you and working with you. I am an ADHD coach. I have an apprentice ADHD coach. I also have an autism coach. And we all are accepting clients right now, all three of us. And there's more coaches coming soon, which is exciting. And so what I would love for you guys to do is to, let me actually see if I can share it with you all in the chat. But I want to give you the option of like booking in for consultations before we book up. I only have a couple spots left in my coaching. I know my other coaches are starting to fill up, and so I'm just going to throw this link in there for you so that you guys can read up on it, check it out if that's something you're interested in. But yeah, if you are not currently in a financial position to do coaching, because it's a privilege to be able to do coaching, absolutely, and I understand that. I would like to be able to do more of these. It is time consuming, emotionally consuming, mentally consuming. I want to do as best I can to be here for you without disrespecting my body's needs. You hear what I'm saying? And so, thank you for being here. Thank you for taking the time to listen, to consider how to work on yourself better. I hope that you guys gained some things from this. And I hope that you continue to do the work on yourself. I know that it's hard. But keep doing it because it's worth it in the end. So, sending you guys lots of love. Lots of kisses, consensually, of course. If you didn't want it, you can dodge it. That's fine. I adore you all. I love you. If no one has told you today, I am very proud of you. And I will see you next week, this time. And we're going to vibe and hang out and maybe do something a little bit more fun. This was a very, informational dump of information. I think next week we can switch things up and do something a little bit more fun. So thank you all for being here. I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day, morning, night, whatever time it is for you. And I will see you guys